Aloha. Happy New Year, everyone. Super stoked to hop on today and to do a little riff around our diet and nutrition. I hopped on the other day and what did I go live on about? I hopped on live the other day and what I was talking about was not about nutrition, but a question came in. And what the woman had shared is when I start working out, I feel hungry all the time. And so I'm really confused on, how do I eat when I bring in fitness? And now when I start to work out, I just want to eat a lot, right? Kind of feels like it's, um, I don't know, one step forward, two steps back type of thing, right? So let me know, is this of concern to anyone else out there? Do you guys experience the same thing? And so I just want to offer you guys a few tips around this. And really there's many different factors, and each and every one of us are unique individuals, and we're all going to need different, we all eat different. Some of us might be vegetarians or vegans, some of us might eat meat, maybe you do paleo, keto. You hear what I'm saying? Like, there's so many different journeys in this world of nutrition. And so to find what works best for us can maybe take a little bit of paying attention, basically. So let me just give you guys a few pointers in this realm, and then talk about also the point of just paying attention to our own, to what we are doing on the daily. So welcome as you're hopping on. If you guys tend to get really hungry when you work out, bring some conversation in here. Let me know, what it is that you guys experience in this way. If you guys have any dietary restrictions, because you do, maybe put them on yourself, or you just know that you feel better when you eat a certain way, drop them in the comments so I can kind of speak to that as well. Miss Emily is in the house. Mwah. Happy New Year. Totally thought about you when I was dancing with the boys on the North Shore, Kauai. This New Year's, it was such an amazing show. They played Aiko and it was so amazing. Totally thought of you and Jen. And I dance with you in spirit, girlfriend. So, okay, you guys, so let me just start with this tip, since I just enjoyed a drink of water right here, is a lot of times our body will actually register that we are hungry. We'll feel hungry when we actually are is dehydrated. And if you are, starting out with your fitness and you're moving more than normal and you're sweating, more than normal on the daily, then you need to rehydrate your body. So some tips on hydration, which seem pretty simple, but honestly, some of these things we just need to hear a lot. We need to bring them back into our awareness so we can put them into our habitual patterns, right? And if you guys don't have my checklist yet, I want you guys to get a hold of my checklist, my fitness cheat sheet, and it's also called my checklist. And this thing works like magic. Print the thing out, put it on your refrigerator. Have you guys ever done a star chart with your kids, and all of a sudden now your kids are like doing all their chores? Like, there's something very magical about it, and there is a whole science around why the star chart type of thing works with our brain. Oh, yay, Dearni, you're on, honey. So I'm stoked you're here so we can have a little conversation, if you do have some time, about the nutrition part. So this one's for you, honey. Stoked you're here. So what I'm addressing right now is a lot of times our body can actually be dehydrated, but it registers that we're hungry, right? And if we're bringing on fitness and we're sweating more than normal, we need to rehydrate the body. And so on my daily action steps, you'll see one of the things that I address that's really important to me on the daily is just making sure that I'm hydrated. Yeah. So, Dorani, what would you say, how much do you drink a day? Do you get 8 glasses of water in a day, more or less? And so these are a couple ways that I personally make sure that I get in enough water that I need. I will drink like a big mug of warm lemon water before I have my coffee. Not religiously, it's not like every time, but I would say a good 5 days out of 7 days, I will start my morning with a great big mug of warm lemon water. If you feel like you don't get enough hydration throughout the day, I would even encourage you to make it a point to be like, dude, I'm not going to let myself enjoy my mug of coffee until I'm getting, at least like a couple cups of water in. So it kind of, it's kind of encouraging, right? It kind of inspires you, moves you to get in your hydration first thing. And because coffee is, it can be dehydrating, especially if we're drinking too much. So that would be another thing to consider. What are some of the things that you may be doing in excess that could be pulling hydration out? So alcohol, caffeine, those are a couple things right off the bat. I'm not saying don't do those things. I'm just saying pay attention and be aware, because those things in excess can make us dehydrated. And again, when our body is feeling dehydration, it can actually register in our brain, and we think that we're hungry. So if you feel like you're hungry, but you're like, man, I've eaten a good amount of food today, right? One of the things I want you to do then is go drink a big old glass of water and just let that settle in for for a little bit, because you might find that all of a sudden you don't feel hungry anymore. Now, this is not a tip or a tool that I'm wanting to give you guys so that like we don't eat, right? Like that's the furthest thing you'll ever hear from me. Potentially, you actually need to eat more, right? So I'm going to address that too, but just some of the kind of the things in general. A lot of times we actually feel hungry. What really we are is thirsty. So first thing in the morning, and then when you do feel hungry, drink a great big glass of water prior to. And then honestly, I have water with me all the time. Whenever I'm get into my car, I've got water with me. Whenever I leave the house, basically. So just make sure that you have it with you. And if you have it with you, you're probably going to drink it, right? Let me just check in the comments real quick here. I think I get more, like maybe a half a gallon a day. Okay, awesome. Lately I've been forgetting to drink. And then if you're breastfeeding, yeah, for sure. Well, right, if you are breastfeeding, you're gonna be hungry all the time. And you do need to bring in more calories on the daily to support the calories that are going out, that are being fed to your baby. So that's kind of a little bit of a different, like absolutely you're going to want to be bringing in more calories to support you at this time as well, because your baby is just sucking it out of you, right? So the fitness part really is, as those calories are kind of just coming right out of you. I would say bringing in some fitness that's like strength training and toning, and it doesn't have to be anything that's pounding and really intense, but to just start to firm up, just starting to bring shape and firmness and lift and tightness might be a better approach for fitness right now than like a whole bunch of cardio. And so just something to consider. And that's something else you can also feel into. What are the workouts right now that just support me and really feeling like as you are nourishing a baby, you're also able to nourish yourself and not like extra tax yourself out, if that makes sense. Okay, so I addressed the hydration, and for many of you watching this replay, you guys might find that tip alone is so huge. Throughout the day, when you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm so hungry, if you've nourished yourself, if indeed you've had your breakfast and you've had your lunch or whatever it may be, then go for a big glass of water. Okay, and let that register in before going ahead and even grabbing another cup of coffee. Sometimes we will feel another side effect, if you will, of being dehydrated is that we feel tired. So imagine this. Your body is trying to tell you, hey, I'm thirsty. Give me some hydration. Give me some water. And in the middle of the day, when you feel that kind of lull and you feel tired, instead you go and get yourself a caffeinated beverage of sorts. You are pulling hydration out of the body, and you're giving yourself that, that energy boost in that way. But just drinking a nice big glass of water at the lull in the day can actually be way more effective, boosting your energy as well. So give that a try in those two scenarios. And then also paying attention. The first thing I would kind of guide you to is paying attention to your pre and post workout. So let me kind of frame this picture a little bit. Number one, I want to make sure you're eating. Sometimes when I'm working with clients, I've worked with clients in the past who I would ask them to write me a journal, write themselves a journal, but so that I can see it. What is it that you are eating on the daily? And I have had clients in the past where they don't want to create that journal because they feel like by journaling what foods they're eating, in a way, like they're there's like this judgment that's being placed there, like, oh, I don't want to look at my food this closely. I don't want to be kind of judging myself in this way. And I get it. Oh my God, do I get it? I totally understand. However, from my own personal experience, this is what I can tell you guys, that when you do pay attention, like, look, you can actually pay attention and be that present and journal it, write down everything that you eat, and not place judgment on yourself as you are paying attention. Which, as I speak it out loud, it might seem a little bit weird. Like, yeah, why would paying attention mean that I'm creating a judgment on myself around this, when actually it is that presence and that awareness of us paying attention that can bring a lot of insight and aha. So what you might find as you are journaling is that there are certain foods that actually make you feel more hungry, certain foods that satiate you and make you feel full and energized. And it's just that when I am journaling on my food, that awareness is inspiring, enlightening, and it's really helpful. So without even putting restrictions, or you can't have this and that, that's not what the journaling is about at all. It's just simply creating a container of greater awareness. At the end of the meal or the day, you can also keep notes on there. Wow, this meal made me feel really good, or this meal, I wanted to go to sleep after eating this, right? So those are ways as far as us as individuals can pay attention. Now, there are certain foods that are going to make you feel satiated. Am I saying that right? Satiated, right? Fats help us to feel full longer, and proteins, fats and proteins. Now, when I say fats, what I want you to not, what I want you to stay away from, what I would like to see not in your pantry and stuff, are hydrogenated oils. So if you do eat packaged food, if you do eat any kind of processed food, start paying attention to the labels. Get really good at reading those labels, and stay away from anything that has hydrogenated oils in there. Those are fats that will make you fat, right? Those are fats that will clog you up and that will bog you down and that will not give you sustained energy throughout the day. However, fats such as macadamia nuts, coconut oil, grass-fed butter, the good healthy fats in salmon if you eat fish, flaxseed oil if you don't. So there are high quality fats that can sustain us for a long period of time. And I'll just give you a personal example of that. For me, in the morning, I'm a kind of person that can work out on more of an empty stomach. And again, this is kind of where the nutrition part can get vast, right? Because we are all very different. There are some people that no way will they work out on an empty stomach. They would, they don't feel good. They don't feel strong. So, however, I do like to have my coffee in the morning. And so something that's just an awesome pre-workout for me is a coffee, and I'll put some coconut oil in it, maybe a couple teaspoons, maybe a tablespoon of coconut oil. I'll also maybe add a little bit of MCT oil. So these are, the MCT oil is really good for our brain function. And the coconut oil is, it's amazing oil. It's amazing fat, I should say. It's a fat that can actually help us to reduce like belly fat, to reduce fat in our bodies. Of course, you're not going to eat it like we're going to pay attention, let's say, to like the mac nuts, because a bag of mac nuts can easily go down, right? And then that would be many, many, many grams of fat. However, when we are eating the right kinds of fat, our body actually will burn fat more effectively. And it's a fuel source that burns like slow and steady. So when I put the coconut oil in my coffee, even my kind of spike of energy from the coffee is more smooth. It's not like a straight up and then a blast down crasher, right? It's a smooth energy. The fats just help to just help with the caffeine in the body to create that instead of this crash. What else will I put in my coffee? I'll put some different superfood mushrooms in there, and a couple scoops of collagen I also put in my coffee. So the collagen is just pure protein, and then the fats. So I'm starting my workout with the proteins and the fats, and enough fats where I've got some good sustained energy to the degree that like after my workouts, I don't necessarily need to eat. However, after the workout, it is really smart for us to fuel our body with carbohydrates and proteins. So I'm kind of moving into a little bit of a different realm with the nutrition by talking of the pre and post workout. But I do want to come back to this, because if everything else is like kind of on point, or we're nowhere in a good place, that would be the go-to place I would start to focus on, is really refining the pre and post workout. And I don't think I mentioned this. I know I touched this. So let me just finish this thought before going back to where I was. So I hope you guys are following me. If you have any questions, just leave them here, and I'm going to read these. I'll read these questions in just a second. So the pre and post I had mentioned in the last video, honey, like paying attention to those macros and the amounts. What I never gave you was the amount. So what I would shoot for is like about, let's say, and it depends on how much you weigh, it depends on your goals. But so just in an average, I'm going to say 25 grams of protein for your pre and post. And post, if you can get in that 25 gram of protein as soon as you can after that workout is done. The protein, and then the carbohydrate. Like the carbohydrate, that would be equivalent, let's say, to like, and again, it's going to depend on your workout, how intense it was, how much weight you're at now, and then what your goals are to kind of dial in this exact number of macros. So the kind of a general would be 25 grams of protein, and let's say about a 25-30 grams of carbohydrate immediately, as fast as you can. The carbohydrate, you could even go more, and keeping the fat content low on the post workout so that the protein and the carbohydrates can get right into your muscles and replenish the muscles. And by doing that, you're going to recover faster. You're going to build lean muscle mass better. And then maybe an hour later, that if you're feeling hungry, then go ahead and start to bring in the foods, maybe a little more protein, maybe those fats that help to satiate you. Oh, avocado. I didn't say avocado. Another like amazing fat. So starting when we talk about the journal, I said, for you guys to start potentially journaling your food, what also you can start looking for then is, okay, what type of carbohydrates am I eating on the daily? Is it a carbohydrate that burns fast? Is it a slow burning carbohydrate? Is it like a real food carbohydrate, like a sweet potato? Or is it, I don't know, like a tortilla chip or a potato chip, something that's more of a processed food? So it can be really enlightening when it's actually right there in front of you on a journal. Carbohydrates. Oh, and so it's checking in there the carbohydrates, the quality of the carbohydrates, of the fats, and of the proteins. So those are 3. And then another one to stick in there is fiber. And if you are feeling like you are hungry all the time, I want you to start paying attention to the amount of fiber that you are getting on the daily. Pay attention. You can Google these things. Like if you're like, how many grams of fiber is in an avocado? Google it and just start paying attention with a sense of wonderment and curiosity, and really bringing that curiosity into this journey of getting to know this part of the fitness puzzle with more ease. Because when there's more insight on this, when there's more awareness, and when we're more knowledgeable in this area, you're going to find a whole lot of freedom, and you're gonna find that you're getting the results that you want to get a lot faster too, right? Than if we're just throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping something works, or getting confused and with all of these. Let me come on to these questions. Do I think macros are important? Personally, when I am really paying attention to my macro count, I can lean out quick, right? So yes, I think that I think that utilizing and paying attention to macros is a very solid, amazing practice, and the precursor to getting to that place where we're dialing in those macros, the precursor to that is getting to a place in our relationship with food where we can even hold a food journal without there being a whole bunch of judgment that we're placing on ourselves. So kind of getting to that place first, and then let's go ahead and dial it in and really dial in those macros. What kind of mushrooms? I'll take a picture of it, and I'll post a picture of it. It is what is that it's a blend. It's a blend. It's a blend of all kind of mushrooms. So I'll take a snapshot of it and I'll drop it in this group for you guys. Mushrooms are great adaptogens. Really good for many of the different systems of our bodies. Really great for our brains, our immune system. And yeah, that's why I throw the mushrooms in my coffee. They're almost like a class of their own, right? As far as like we've got the proteins and the carbohydrates and the fats and the fibers. Let me come back to fiber, and then I'll wrap this up unless you guys have any more questions. But then there's mushrooms, right? Like a whole nother universe of their own kind of food group there. And so if you guys don't bring in, mushrooms at all to your, if you haven't in the past, I want to encourage you to bring mushrooms into your diet. Fiber. So fiber, what I would like you guys to shoot for is a minimal. If you're feeling hungry and you're noticing, wow, you might notice that I only get like 10 grams of fiber a day or something. Fiber is also going to help us to feel full. So proteins, fat, aloha Laura, aloha Becky. Proteins, fat, and fiber are things that are going to help you feel satiated and like you're not starving. I want to see you shooting for like 25 grams of fiber on the daily. And so pay attention to that. That'll be another good one. And I'm trying to build a booty, my favorite thing to build. Honey, where do you live? I think you live in the Hawaiian Islands, but maybe you don't live Kauai. Let me know where you live, honey. If you're here, it'd be so fun to meet up if you live on Kauai. 20 pounds and, your baby's 7 months. Okay, your baby's 7 months and you're breastfeeding. Since you've had your baby, how many pounds have you lost so far, hun? building a booty. My favorite body part to train is my legs and booty. Actually, this morning's practice was a leg and booty class. And I'm actually using my old phone right now because my iPhone broke. And so I have it mailed in to Apple. And when I get it back and I can actually go live, like in my yurt, for some reason, this thing won't, I can barely go live. I got to be in front of my computer here. So when I do get that capability back, I want to film some videos for you guys, some live videos right there in the yurt, and show you what it is that I'm doing to train legs or booty or full body or whatever it may be. Okay, what's the difference between natural fibers like mushrooms and synthetic fiber sources? I'm not sure, Emily, if you mean synthetic like Metamucil kind synthetic, or but if that's what you mean, what I would say is this. If you're finding that that is just feeling super impossible for you to get in the, to shoot for, like, I'm going to give you guys just an aim of 25 grams of fiber a day. If you're finding like that's just super hard for you, what we want to do is we want to find foods that are high in fiber that you like, right? There's going to be different fruits that are higher in fiber. I know avocado is nice and high in fiber, but you're going to start really paying attention to that. And if you're finding that you cannot hit it, then go ahead and bring in a fiber supplement that would help you. So that's how I would address that. I don't think there's anything wrong with, just make sure that it's clean, I think there's like, maybe it's Metamucil, or I could also show you guys the one that I have. I actually use one from Purium when I do use it. When I do use any fiber thing, maybe I'll sometimes add it to like a smoothie or something. It's just all super clean, real ingredients. I think one time when I looked, maybe it was like Metamucil or something, I don't know. But I was like, oh my God, there's some gnarly ingredients in there. And I don't know if it was like titanium dioxide or I don't know, maybe just some weird colorings, but I would not recommend, adding something, especially if you're going to be using it as a daily supplement. Just read every ingredient, read the ingredients that are like, not just the main ingredients, but also whatever the additional little ingredients are, and just make sure that it's a really clean source there for a supplement. You are on Maui. All right, sweetie pie. 25. Oh, wow. Okay. So you gained 30. I gained 30. And then you've lost around 25. And now you want to lose another 20. You're doing amazing. First, I just got to acknowledge it. You're doing amazing. So you're really on a great, you're on a great trajectory to where you want to be. And you will get there. Absolutely. Dialing in the nutrition, really paying attention to your macros, finding a fitness program that works for you. 20 pounds is going to be a no, will be no problem for sure. I want to get in the best shape of my life and keep it up. There's something, it is beyond empowering, energizing, amazing to really be in a body that feels strong and fit and energized, to be in the best shape of our lives, to be able to say that and to know that it's, when I say to get into the best shape of my life, what that means for me is in a place where I am physically fit and strong and solid. And if it was like, hey, let's go, hike this mountain tomorrow, I know I can put on my hiking boots and I can go hike that mountain, and I can be like empowered and excited in my body to live my life in that kind of full way. And also to be able to, where there's this place of balance, right? Because if you guys, you might, and I'll have to, I really want to share more of my experience of my bodybuilding when I did that when I was almost 40 years old. When I was 39, I did a bodybuilding bikini contest, and I got shredded and lean and ripped. And so from the outside, at least from my perspective at that point in my life, being in the best shape of my life, looked like that, right? I was lean, I was ripped. You could see every like fiber, you know, you could like ripped just to the core. And going through that experience really opened up so much in my perspective. At that point, I thought that was the epitome of fitness. I thought that was the ideal. I thought that was the kind of that's what you get to, and then you're in the best shape of your life. And my personal experience of that was to get into that kind of physical shape. For me personally, and from my perspective of where I was at, seeing other people in this arena, training to just have their physique and be that, you know, where it's just physique, that it takes up it can be an all-consuming, thing about your workouts and about what you're going to eat and not eat. And to me, that is not being in the best shape of my life. It really is being in a place where my physical body is on point, where, you know, for me, some of my standards of what that is, like, for me at 44 years old, to be able to go out there and do a standing backflip makes me feel freaking like I am in the best shape of my life. To be able to kick up and do a handstand and do back bends and have all this range of motion, to be able to run a 5K, to be able to hike to Kauai. If you guys have never been to Kauai, there's the most amazing, so many amazing trails here. One is world renowned. It's an 11-mile trail on the Na Pali coast. Have you done it, honey? Have you hiked that trail? It is amazing. And I have a retreat coming up actually in August. Put it on your wish list, put it on your vision board. My summer retreat, we hike and we play in waterfalls, and we do the things, you know, we swim in the ocean, and we just have the most remarkable time out here. And getting on the Na Pali coast, if the road is open, we will be getting on the Na Pali coast, and we will be doing some exquisite hiking and just really celebrating what's possible in our bodies when we take care of ourselves in such an amazing way. Yes, Kauai is amazing. You've been there. There's nothing like it on the planet. Nothing like it on the planet. Yeah, my story is pretty vast, and like I'm so excited that I get to be here in this portal, share something of my story with you guys. I'll just riff a teeny bit more on the bodybuilding. So, you know, at that point, it was I grew up as a competitive gymnast. So from the age of 9, I started gymnastics. I started very late. From the age of 9, I started gymnastics. By the age of 10, I was probably in the gym, you know, 3 to 4 days a week. And eventually by the age of 12, I was in the gym 5 to 6 days a week, training anywhere from, like, let's say 3 to 5 hours a day, right? And so my perspective was very much from the perspective of an athlete. And I can remember the day that my gymnastics coach put me on a scale. All of a sudden they wanted to weigh everybody, right? So put me on a scale, and I must have been, God, I remember where I was. I remember the gym, where it was in the gym, exactly how old I was. I don't remember, maybe about 13 years old. And I stepped on that scale, and I weighed, it was the same as our radio station, which I think was 94.5. I weighed 94.5 hopping on that scale. Or it might have been 104.5, because I think it was 94.5. And at that point, and I never had the perspective of, oh, you're too heavy to do gymnastics. And I wasn't. I was just a solid little gymnast, right? But at that point, all of a sudden, this like a new belief system around me just judging myself. All of a sudden, this scale determined my self-worth. And prior to that, everything was possible for me in the gym, right? Like, I was there because I enjoyed it and I loved it. It was it was what made me tick, is what lit me up. And then from that point forward, it was more like, oh, what I am capable of and what I am worthy of really is going to be determined by the number on this scale. Whew. So So that's kind of a little bit of the background. From there, I eventually moved into all kind of eating disorders. At that point, my mom, my mom didn't know about nutrition. My mom there was 3 of us, so we were busy. We'd go through drive-throughs and go to the gym. So I never even really put the 2 and 2 together, that the way that I ate was really determining what was going on in my body in that way, which seems so wild when you're on the other side of it. But I remember the day that I even learned that there were things like nutrients and minerals and vitamins in the food that I ate, and protein. Like what I had always, just from that point on, considered were calories in food, right? And then learning like, oh my God, there's this whole other world inside of food that I can be paying attention to. That didn't, that came later. But for many, many, many years, I went through a horrible relationship with myself and my body and food. Was bulimic for over a decade. And then eventually really, just took the empowerment back. There came to a point where I was like, oh my God, like I cannot do this anymore. Like I was scared how I would hurt my body, and really started to learn and to learn about nutrition, yes, but also really learn how to speak to myself differently, how to, and I am still learning. I am still learning so much in this world of, letting go of the judgment and really coming from places of deeper self-love. And so when I went into this bodybuilding competition, I really thought that in the epitome of fitness was the lean, totally ripped, not an ounce of body fat, right? Like I was, who knows, I maybe was like 6% body fat. I'm not sure, but I did not really have any body fat on me. And I could tell a lot of stories around this, but I'm going to wrap this one up. And I hope that this was helpful, you guys. But then going through that, realizing, oh my God, the way that many, many, many people in this arena take care of themselves in order to look like that, they are, and I'm not saying everybody at all, but I had no idea until I went through this experience myself and stepped into that world and really saw what the majority of this world, they are not considering, there's a lot of powders and powders like diet pills, fat burners, stimulants in that way, like eating maybe 2 foods like asparagus and chicken for long periods of time. It's not a sustaining, it's really not even fitness, because if you can't eat chicken and asparagus. Ain't nobody gonna be wanting to eat chicken and asparagus freaking their whole life. Like, why would you put yourself through that, right? Like, come on. There's just way too many amazing things out there to eat. So just to see that when people are on the cover of a fitness magazine or when they're on stage, their body is like that, in that lean, ripped place for a fraction, like literally some of these people calculating it out so that they're hitting their peak physique in like a 12-hour window, right? And it's really like dialing it into the salts and dehydrating or hydrating enough. And it's what I learned was that it's not the ideal, for me, it's not the ideal shape of fitness, right? It's smoke and mirrors. It's not, prior to that, when I saw these fitness magazines, like I thought, wow, that's like the end all be all. That's where you get. And what I started to realize is even the people in these magazines, they've done a specific diet and training plan, for the maybe 4, 6, 8 weeks leading up to that photo shoot. It's not necessarily even the way that they are looking in their day in and day out life. So the point of that really is to just pay attention to what feels right and nourishing for you. When you want to get into the best shape of your life, consider yourself a holistic, multi-dimensional being, and taking care of your physical, mental, emotional, energetic, and spiritual well-being in a really holistic approach, so that you can, sustain a lifestyle that allows you to live in a radiance and strength that you've never experienced before. Yeah, girly. Right on, Emily. Yeah, there was things about gymnastics that was very hard, but there were things about it that were so incredible, amazing. Like so incredible, amazing. And so I wouldn't have traded it for the world. Yes, yes, Darnie. Thank you for sharing that, honey. Self-love is a process, and we're always learning and we're always growing. We are always learning and always growing, and there is no, we get to the end and we're there. I think this came through our last uh, live, is that it's a journey. It is a journey, and there is going to be highs and lows and spirals along the way. But, it is a path. For me, this path of fitness and self-care and self-love is something that has only enriched my life in the most profound and powerful ways. And to be able to share that with others is something that just makes me, it makes me so excited to be able to share. I have to love myself as I am able to transform. Absolutely. And for us to know that right here, right now, in this moment, we are so darn lovable, and we are completely worthy and deserving of really experiencing what it is that we desire to experience in this world, of being happy, of loving ourselves, of taking care of ourselves. And so, this is part of the mind piece, the mindset piece, that a lot of my work, if you guys have trained with me online, or if you're considering training with me online, this mental part, the mindset piece, is such a profound piece, a part that I love to share. Because if we're going through life and we're thinking, oh my God, I'm fat and I've got 20 pounds to lose, and I'm just mentioning that because that's one of your comments, but I'm not saying that this is the dialogue, right, that's going on in your mind. But I can share with you dialogue that has been in my mind in the past, and dialogue that I know is in many, many, many of us. They've been in my clients. The dialogue that goes here, if we're in a mindset where we are consistently playing a tape that says, I am fat, I hate working out, I cannot do this, oh my God, I feel so frumpy, oh my God this, oh my God that, oh, I'm just a disaster, I can never do this, it's so hard. If we are consistently playing that tape, then you can be guaranteed that showing up to do the work is going to be the biggest, fattest, ugliest chore that you've ever had to face. Because we're coming from a perspective that's already so defeating and beating ourselves up. And when that mindset is going in that way, when that tape is playing in that way, then our brains, there's a reticular activating system, it's a filter system in our brain, that when those thoughts are going, that is the filter system that we are experiencing life from. So that tape, that mental vision that we hold of ourselves, has to really be, I am a fit, capable woman. I am strong. I am capable. Even just in that, I am a fit, strong, capable woman. That filter changes. All of a sudden, putting on our tennis shoes, or rolling out our yoga mat, or eating a salad, or whatever it may be, eating an avocado, it doesn't feel, there's a different energy to it. Taking care of ourselves is a lot more loving and fun when we've got the right mindset in place. So I want to encourage you guys to start playing the tapes, not only, start talking to yourself in a nourishing way as well. We spent most of this call talking about literal nutrition, right? What we will put in our body to feel full, to feel strong and energized and light. And then there's a whole other component, right? A whole other component, which is the mindset piece. And that is nutrition that we have to pay attention to just as sweetly, just as lovingly as the food that we're putting in our mouths. And if this is a piece of the puzzle, you know, any of this that we talked today, we talked about physical nutrition, we're talking about some mindset and self-love. If this is something that you would really like to, you know, to get a grip on, to explore in a new way in 2019, then I want to invite you to really consider my 90-day program. My 90-day program, I create personalized curriculum for you so you know exactly what you're doing every single day in fitness. And how I do this is I actually have hundreds of videos that I have filmed in my yurt here on the North Shore of Kauai. So you'll hear the roosters, you'll maybe even hear some geckos. But I have this library that I've so exquisitely categorized so I know exactly what to find. And I find out, where are you at? Where are you at right now? What are your limitations? What are your struggles? Where are you, you know, most weak? Where do you feel like really you look, you know, in the mirror and you're putting yourself down? Where are these things physically that then I meet you right where you're at? And I create a curriculum, and you know exactly what video to do, where I lead you through the warm up, the meat of it, and I'm speaking life into you and encouraging you. And in my videos, it very much is, we are training our body, and we are training our mind, and we are training our spirit. And it's such a holistic approach to fitness just in those videos alone. So I create that curriculum based on where you are and where it is you want to go throughout the 90 days. I don't create it, sit down in one thing. I create it as we're going every 2 to 4 weeks so that curriculum is really meeting you exactly where you're at. It's basically having a personal trainer come to your house and work with you in a very personalized way. And then we have calls once a week where we come together in a video conference and we get into some amazing, enlightening conversations around the mindset, around the self-love. And in those conversations, we're also dialing in any questions. Maybe we're going to really look at the macronutrients and we're going to find that count that works for you, and we're going to dial this in. And then once a month or twice a month, we'll come together on just a one-on-one call. And again, we'll address some of those personalized things, whether it's mindset, self-love. Do we need to dial in your nutrition? Where are we to really take your fitness, you know, to the next place, and to really just dial all those in. So if this is something that excites you, I want to invite you to book a call with me. On this call, I may or may not invite you to come into this program, the 90-day program, but on the breakthrough call, absolutely, I will help support you in creating a breakthrough with where you're at right now. Let's find out what is keeping you stuck. Let's find out what some of the, you know, habitual ruts are that have you knocking your head up against a wall and feeling, you know, confused, feeling like you're not getting the results, feeling like, you know, you're just falling short from where you want to be, so that we can help change the trajectory of that, so you can move into 2019 feeling inspired, lit up, feeling like you have a strategic plan to get to where you want to go, because that clarity is super empowering. So I will drop a link, book a call if this is something that excites you guys. It is in my heart to serve you in a great big way in 2019, because I know that fitness is an absolutely we are multi-dimensional beings. And this component of fitness can help us to really enrich all these different facets of our being in the most profound way. So how blessed am I to get to be here and share with you everything that I have learned over these decades of being on the journey, but making some really crazy mistakes, and also having some profound, you know, perspective to share from everything that I've been through. So so stoked to have this conversation with you. Mwah. Happy New Year. This is going to be the year that we really get to celebrate a holistic, being in the best shape of our lives in a holistic way. That excites me. I hope it excites you. Namaste and aloha.